Think for a moment, what is the greatest form of human loneliness? Is it when there is no one around us, or is it that feeling when we are surrounded by people, yet feel completely isolated from within? Most of us, at some point in our lives, experience this kind of silence. On the outside, everything looks normal. Conversations happen, meetings take place, and life moves on. But inside, there is a void that is difficult to put into words. This deep, quiet, and haunting feeling is the very soul of the novel Kokoro. The author, Natsume Sōseki, doesn't just write characters in this story, he slowly peels back the layers of hidden loneliness, guilt, trust, and emotional distance that define the human condition. This is not a story of grand events or high-speed drama. It is a story of the voices that echo inside a person's mind, the voices we often hide from the world. The narrative revolves around the relationship between a young student and a mysterious older man whom he calls Sensei. The student finds himself drawn to Sensei without any clear reason. He sees a certain depth in him, a lingering pain that he cannot fully comprehend but can definitely feel. Perhaps it is this shared resonance that makes him want to get closer to this man. On the surface, Sensei appears calm, wise, and composed. But beneath that exterior, he is a broken man. He maintains a distance from people as if he has lost all faith in the world. As the story unfolds, we begin to realize that sometimes, a person doesn't just distance themselves from others, they become estranged from their own self. Kokoro explores loneliness in a very subtle way. Even in today's world, where we appear to be constantly connected, the internal loneliness remains just as deep. We often live by hiding our true feelings because we fear that if people truly understood us, they might not accept us. Sensei does exactly this. He lives among people but maintains a vast emotional distance. A profound truth emerges here. A person isn't just lonely because of others, often, they are lonely because of their own guilt. When an old mistake, an unfulfilled regret, or a broken trust remains buried in the heart, it slowly begins to isolate a person from within. They might look fine to the world, but they have lost their internal peace. The story also shows us how fragile trust truly is. Once it breaks, a person loses faith not just in others, but in themselves. And when self-trust vanishes, that is when the emotional disconnection from the world begins. Sensei's character carries this silent burden throughout the narrative. The most powerful aspect of Kokoro is that it is in no hurry to give you answers. It slowly draws you into the hearts of the characters until you start hearing their silences and feeling their fears. This is why the story doesn't end when you finish the book. It continues to live within you for a long time. The novel also beautifully portrays the complexity of friendship and human connection. It reminds us that even when we are close to someone, we may never fully understand them. People often hide their greatest pains behind their deepest silences. This is further emphasized by the backdrop of a changing Japan, a world moving toward modernity where old values were shifting, leaving people feeling emotionally uprooted. Sensei's loneliness is not just personal, it reflects the isolation of a world losing its traditional roots. As we dive deeper into the truth of Sensei's guilt, we realize that his silence isn't just a personality trait, it is a heavy burden he has carried for years. His greatest struggle is not with any other person, but with himself. He is haunted by a memory that changed his life, a guilt that didn't fade with time but grew deeper. This is why he fears intimacy. When you cannot forgive yourself, it becomes impossible to fully accept the love and trust of others. Natsume Sōseki reveals a profound psychological truth. A person's greatest punishment doesn't always come from the outside, it often comes from within. When betrayal or regret takes root in the heart, the internal peace is shattered. Sensei's guilt is tied to his old friend, Kei. Their friendship was once built on trust, but emotions, jealousy, and unspoken feelings eventually tore it apart. It shows how small human weaknesses can lead to devastating consequences, and the most painful part is realizing your mistakes only when it is too late to change them. Kokoro tells an uncomfortable but honest truth. A human being is never entirely good or entirely bad. We are a mix of kindness and selfishness, love and insecurity. It is this inner conflict that often breaks us. Sensei doesn't consider himself a bad person, yet he carries the weight of a single decision for his entire life. This isn't just physical loneliness, it is emotional isolation, the kind where you are disconnected even in a crowd because your guilt has shut you off from the world. The power of this story lies in its silence. Often, what a person doesn't say tells the most truth about them. Sensei's reserved behavior is the voice of his pain. While the student tries to bridge the gap and understand him, some pains are so old that they simply cannot be translated into words. In our modern society, this message is more relevant than ever. As the world becomes more individualistic, people are becoming more emotionally isolated. We have progress, but we are losing connection. Kokoro is a plea for empathy. It teaches us to look at the hidden pain of others with more sensitivity. In the end, this novel reminds us that every person is fighting an unseen battle. We should try to understand people not just through their words, but through their silences. If you read this story not just as a novel, but as a journey into the human soul, you will realize that Kokoro is the story of every person who has ever felt the weight of loneliness or the shadow of regret. Remember, sometimes a person's deepest cry is hidden in their quietest silence. If you enjoyed this book summary and it made you feel the depth of human emotions, please like, share, and subscribe to SKY Book Summary. We will see you in the next story. Thank you.